The best way to learn English. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another useful session at Easy English Stories home channel, where we'll be diving into one of the most important topics for English learners: the best and easiest way to learn English. Whether you're just starting out or you've been trying to learn English for a while, this session is going to provide you with everything you need to start learning effectively, quickly, and with confidence. I've been helping students learn English for many times, and through my experiences, I've found that the methods we'll discuss today have helped thousands of beginners get past their struggles and make real progress. In this session, we'll cover practical strategies to help you learn English in a way that's both simple and enjoyable. I'll walk you through the best approaches to learning vocabulary, grammar, speaking, listening, and even building the confidence to start using English in your everyday life. The goal is to show you how you can improve fast, but with techniques that are sustainable and realistic. Now, I want you to imagine, how would it feel to be able to have a basic conversation in English just a few months from now? What would it mean for your life, career, or studies if you could confidently understand and speak English in a relatively short time? It's possible. The key is consistency, the right strategies, and, most importantly, the right mindset. Let's begin. Before we dive into the techniques, let's talk about one of the most important parts of learning a language: your mindset. A lot of beginners feel discouraged because they think English is too hard or they are afraid of making mistakes. But let me tell you something important. Making mistakes is part of the process. You will make mistakes, and that's okay. In fact, the more mistakes you make, the faster you'll learn. It's all about persistence and staying positive. Think about this. 80% of language learners give up within the first 3 months because they expect immediate results. However, those who stick with it, even when things get tough, are the ones who succeed. Don't focus on perfection, focus on progress. Let me give you a simple example. I had a student named Maria who was a complete beginner. She was so nervous about speaking English that she wouldn't say a word in class. But instead of focusing on speaking perfectly, we set small goals. Every day, she learned 5 new words and tried to use them in sentences. After just 3 months, she was able to hold basic conversations. Was she perfect? No, but she was confident, and that's what mattered. Small, consistent steps led her to success. The next step is building a strong vocabulary. Vocabulary is the foundation of any language, and without it, it's impossible to communicate. But here's the thing. You don't need to know 50,000 words to speak English. In fact, you can understand about 90% of everyday conversations by learning just 1,000 to 2,000 high-frequency words. That's all you need to get started. Think about words like eat, go, see, like, and want. These are words you'll hear in almost every conversation. Instead of spending time on obscure or difficult words, focus on the words you're likely to use every day. Once you have those down, you can start adding more complex vocabulary as you progress. One of the best ways to learn vocabulary is through context. For example, instead of memorizing the word run, try to learn it in a phrase, I run every morning. This not only helps you remember the word, but it also shows you how it's used in a sentence. You'll learn faster and be able to use the word more naturally. I recommend using apps like Anki or Quizlet to create digital flashcards. These apps use spaced repetition to help you memorize words more efficiently. Instead of cramming 100 words in one day, try learning 5 to 10 words a day and review them regularly. Listening is another critical component of learning English. The more you listen to English, the better your brain becomes at understanding and processing the language. Listening helps you get used to the rhythm, pronunciation, and structure of English, which is why it's so important to expose yourself to English as much as possible. When you listen to native speakers, you start to internalize how words are connected in real conversations. Listening also helps you improve your pronunciation as your brain starts to imitate the sounds it hears. Imagine you listen to a podcast or watch a TV show in English every day for 30 minutes. In the beginning, you might only understand 20% of what's being said. But if you keep doing it every day for a month, that percentage will increase. You might get to 40%, then 50%, and eventually you'll understand most of what's being said. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. There are plenty of free resources out there that you can use to improve your listening skills. For beginners, I recommend starting with podcasts like ESL Pod or BBC Learning English. These podcasts are designed for English learners and provide clear, slow speech with useful explanations. If you enjoy watching videos, try using YouTube channels like English Addict with Mr. Duncan or Rachel's English. They offer great content for learners at all levels. One of the most common mistakes beginners make is waiting too long to start speaking. They think, I'll speak when I know more vocabulary, or I'll speak when I understand grammar better. But here's the thing. The sooner you start speaking, the faster you'll learn. Don't wait until you feel ready, because that day might never come. A student named Ahmed came to me after studying English for a year. He had spent all that time reading and listening, but hadn't spoken a single word. When he finally tried to speak, he found it incredibly difficult. It wasn't because he didn't know enough English. It was because he hadn't practiced speaking. So, we started small. Every day, he would record himself speaking for 5 minutes, talking about anything he wanted, his day, his hobbies, his goals. Within 2 months, his confidence grew, and he was able to hold simple conversations. You don't need a partner to start speaking English. You can practice by talking to yourself. For example, if you're at home cooking, try narrating what you're doing. Now I'm chopping vegetables. I'm boiling water. This might seem silly, but it's a great way to get comfortable forming sentences in English. If possible, try to find a language exchange partner or join a language exchange app like Tandem or HelloTalk. These apps allow you to practice speaking with native English speakers, and in return, you can help them learn your language. Grammar is important, but it's something that can overwhelm beginners. You don't need to know all the rules of English grammar to start speaking. In fact, focusing too much on grammar at the beginning can slow you down. Instead of memorizing rules, try to learn grammar through context. This means paying attention to how grammar is used in the books, articles, or shows you're engaging with. Over time, you'll start to recognize patterns and structures. For example, instead of focusing on the rule for present continuous tense, I am eating, learn it through repetition and exposure. The more you hear it, the more naturally it will come to you. Use beginner grammar resources like the book English Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy. This book explains grammar in simple terms and provides exercises to help you practice. But remember, don't get too stuck on grammar. Focus on communication first and let grammar come naturally. Consistency is key when it comes to learning English. It's better to study for 15 minutes every day than to study for 3 hours once a week. The reason is simple. When you study a little bit each day, your brain has more time to process the information and retain it. Let's say you dedicate 30 minutes each day to learning English. You spend 10 minutes on vocabulary, 10 minutes on listening, and 10 minutes on speaking or grammar. After 1 week, you've spent 3.5 hours learning English. In 1 month, that's over 14 hours of practice. Over time, this consistency will lead to massive improvements in your skills. So, there you have it. Learning English doesn't have to be complicated or frustrating. By focusing on small, consistent steps, building a strong vocabulary, listening regularly, speaking as soon as possible, and learning grammar naturally, you'll be well on your way to mastering English. Remember, the key is to be patient with yourself and stay positive. Every day you spend learning English is a step closer to fluency. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Embrace them because they are the signs that you're learning and improving. Thank you for listening to today's session. I hope you found it helpful and that you're now motivated to take the next step in your English learning journey. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, Easy English Stories Home, for more tips and strategies on how to learn English easily and quickly. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and don't give up. You've got this.